The next question may not be so relevant to actual OU products or OU restaurants, but it comes up in people's houses all the time, especially those who have younger children. What does the Rav think about separate bottles of ketchup for dairy and meat? I could think of situations in my home with little children. Perhaps they're not that careful and they may take the ketchup that's for meat, and maybe touch it to the hot dog or the hamburger. How careful does one have to be with that? Would it make a difference if you're dealing with little children or not?
So it's a better question than you make it sound. I think it's a very decent question. I know that the Poskim say that every Jewish home should have separate salt shakers for dairy and for meat. So, the salt shaker of the time of Chazal is a bottle of ketchup of nowadays. Maybe people don't want to eat salt because they're not supposed to eat salt, but who doesn't eat ketchup? And if you really feel that somebody, I didn't grow up in a world that you had to put ketchup on everything, but I'm also an old man. But if you live in a world where ketchup is needed to put onto every food, and you're putting it on top of food that's hot, and the steam going up from the food into the ketchup bottle, I could see a strong reason why you should have separate ketchup or whatever condiment for fleischiks and for milchiks. These are the kind of things, and I speak about this often. I'm sure, not at this time and place, we could have a long discussion why it's not necessary. No, you could tell me that the food that you're serving on your table is not that hot because it was that hot, who could eat it? And the steam that's coming out is not that hot. And there's all sorts of reasons why it should not necessarily affect the kashrus of the ketchup. And I'm also certainly not saying that if I were to come to someone's house and I discovered that they only have one bottle of ketchup that they use for fleischiks and milchiks, I'm not going to not eat in the house. That's just not true. But, part of the lesson of kashrus is the lesson of chinuch, and to train ourselves and to train our family to be thinking about these things. Could you imagine the chinuch of a child that sees that her parents are so careful, they buy 2 bottles of ketchup, and one is dairy and one is meat. That child's sensitivity to kashrus, as they get older, and as they will have their own home, will be so much more serious than the person who father or mother had a reason to say everything is kosher. And I think that's an important element in training our children what kashrus is all about.